Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time to tee it up with Tom and John. We join our host, Tom Johnson, publisher of Stu News, John Stevens, mayor of Costa Mesa, partner in the law firm Stevens Friedland, as they tee it up with the players of the day, people driving the decisions in our county and keeping our county on course. Let's bring them in, of course. John Stevens, let's start with you. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, welcome, Paul. It's great to have you. So, Tom, how you doing?
Hey, everything's good. It's good to be back.
I know. I had to do this by myself.
I know. And I was standing out on the tee at the Hogue Classic last time we talked.
That was St. Patrick's Day, and here we are on Good Friday.
Yeah. We just picked the holidays.
Yeah, exactly. We only broadcast on holidays.
This is a Good Friday. You don't have to go to work, right?
Oh, it's a great Friday. I've already played 9 holes of golf.
Did you really?
I'm not kidding.
Oh my gosh!
I played 9 holes. I played with Harlan and Byron D'Erico.
Okay, that does not surprise me, John. The closer it gets to the weekend, the odds go up that you're going to be playing some golf.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So beautiful out there.
Hey, speaking of golf, I mean, it's this is not a local deal, but it's all over the news. Is got the Masters going on this weekend, and it's the Live versus the PGA Tour, and
that's right.
I don't know if you looked this morning, but Brooks Koepka is on fire.
Oh, really?
He's 12 under. He's 5 under again today. So he was 7 under yesterday. He's 5 under today, and he is way out in front.
I don't want a Live guy to win that tournament.
You don't want one?
I do not want
I know,
one.
I don't
No.
either.
So get this. So, I went to New Orleans last week.
Yeah.
So we could talk a little bit about that. But I have a tradition where when I go get a plane, I get there early and I get a vodka tonic. And so I got there at like 5:45 in the morning. But I didn't want to break tradition, so I go in, I get a vodka tonic. The guy sitting next to me is having a beer. And I say, "Where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to Augusta, Georgia." I go, "What do you do?" Remember, this is like last week.
Yeah.
I go, "What are you going to do in Augusta, Georgia?" He says, "I'm a chef." And he's flying from LA to Augusta, Georgia. And he's going to prepare food and be a chef for all the players and the patrons and the members. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. I wish I would have done something in golf with my life. I've been such a failure.
No, come on. Your game is bad, but you're a good starter.
Hey, I played the other day.
Yeah.
So it's
congratulations.
Yeah, and I'm taking a lesson on Monday.
How'd it go?
Bad.
Yeah,
but,
that's all right.
Yeah, trying to get it back.
Well, that's the way it'll get better. It's like Good Friday is dark and Easter's light, and your game will get better.
Got my clubs in the car, going out this afternoon, and going to hit some balls and really work and get this game back a little.
Good.
Of course, I don't need to get too much back to join you again.
No, you don't. Just bring your money.
Right.
Bring your Washingtons.
Yeah.
So hey, we've got a great guest.
I know. I'm excited. I was writing in Stu News earlier this week, and I was trying to pick a subject out of what I'm going to do, and I had written about Henry Segerstrom.
Yes.
He would have been 100 this week.
Yeah.
On April 5th, and so we wrote something. We kind of partnered with Elizabeth on something, and wrote something on Henry, and kind of an extension of that. We started focusing on that last piece of the puzzle over at Segerstrom Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
And that brings us to ACMA.
Orange County Museum of Art. And we've got Heidi Zuckerman, who's the CEO and director of ACMA, is our guest. So welcome, Heidi.
Thanks so much for having me.
And you know what? It's so funny because you think of a museum. Like when I think of a museum, I think back to my childhood. My mom would go like, "Okay, we're going to go to San Francisco today, and we're going to the museum." And it'd be like, "Oh no, it's, you want to stay home and play with your friends." ACMA is now turning into like the hottest thing around in Orange County. I mean, worldwide probably, but I mean, not only is it the traditional, or the untraditional museum, but I mean, it's beautiful with what you've done to it and everything like that. But now you're having events, you're having things that in the evening times and stuff like that are going to be fun.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you mentioned San Francisco and getting taken to museums there, because I grew up in Palo Alto, and one of my formative memories was going to the de Young Museum with my parents and them pointing at some artwork and laughing, and me being like, those are not my parents, right? Like, who are those people that don't understand that this is cool? So, I've always wanted to make the museum available and accessible and not this kind of dusty, stodgy thing. And so, the art that we're showing has like a sense of humor. It's playful, it's engaging, and we have all sorts of events, everything from a BYOB, which is actually bring your own baby,
Wow.
and super
Right.
popular now with like moms and strollers, and then these live events, silent discos, and bringing in DJs, and signature cocktails that we do a little kind of happy hour before each artist talk, and we're actually going to publish a book with the cocktail recipes that are each paired with an artwork from the collection.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you even have a scavenger hunt this weekend.
Exactly, we're celebrating our half birthday on Saturday.
Yeah.
Your half birthday.
Yes.
It's been 6 months.
Yes,
Yes.
Boy,
celebrated
that
on
6 months just flew by.
I remember, and we've had such a cold, kind of wet winter and everything like that. Maybe the last day I really can remember feeling the sun was the day of your opening, when we had everybody up there on the terrace.
Yeah, the roof
whatever,
deck.
Roof deck, and it was, if you were out in the sun, like people got there early and everybody sat in the shade,
Yeah.
and got all the umbrellas and everything, and I come strolling out, and it's ready to roll, and I'm standing in the sun, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna die. I mean, it was a hot day.
It was a hot day. Yeah. So October 8th, 2022, it's when we opened to the public, and we welcomed 10,000 people in the building that day. We probably turned away another 5,000. People were waiting in line, all hours of the night, 2 and 3 in the morning. They're waiting 4 and 5 hours. They come in the building and they raise their arms like they're Rocky, like,
Yeah.
hey, I got it. And, high-fiving our team. And, it's gone like gangbusters. So
And it was a 24-hour opening with different things. How did you come up with that idea to do the 24-hour opening?
I just wanted it to be spectacular, and I wanted it to be really memorable, and I wanted to do something that people probably haven't done before. And, I'm always curious, like, if you can't sleep at 2 or 3 in the morning, like, who else is awake and what are they doing?
Right.
So I was like, let's have them come to the museum. There was this great program at the Dallas Art Museum some years ago that was called exhibition tours for insomniacs, because their chief curator she could never sleep, and so she's like, I'm up, I might as well show people around. And that just stayed with me, because I thought, I like company, and I like to do things with other people, and probably lots of other people do too. So
Yeah.
that's where it came from.
Well, even just to kind of slide back for a minute, is you were talking about the BYOB, bring your own baby, and I mean that's basically a concept where you have all these mothers that, I mean, I hate to target mothers or whatever in a group like that or whatever, but I mean they're home taking care of their kids,
Exactly.
and
Isolated.
I trust me, I took care of my 3-year-old and 2-year-old grandson for 3 hours this week. I'm lucky I'm still alive. But anyway, so I commend mothers. But what you've done is you've targeted a segment that are sitting at home or walking around the block or whatever. You bring them in. They walk around the museum with all the other mothers. The kids are
Exactly.
there, and it's fun.
And you know what? And they're building community, and so now they're staying, they're having lunch together. I heard this morning from my board chair that the moms loved the food for the kids. They actually want to order off the kids' menu. So, I mean, it's just kind of cross-pollinating. And what we're really doing is building a museum of the 21st century. And a museum of the 21st century is about community.
Sure.
So when's the last time you found a museum with a bar in it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's incredible, and you're doing stuff at night. And as I was typing it up in Stu News, my column this week, and putting everything in, it was all about free too.
Yes.
I mean, there were so many. It's all these free entry points to come in. So there's something tonight, and it's free to get in. You purchase your cocktails if you want to, partake in that. But talk about what's going on tonight.
So we have free general admission for the first 10 years, thanks to Lugano Diamonds. And we are unveiling just new stuff pretty much every week. And yesterday I had a meeting with the head of my education and learning department, and she showed me this whiteboard, and it was filled with 3 columns actually. And it said, like first newborn, first artist talk, first, like the first everything. We're doing
Yes.
everything for a first.
So when you walk in, you've been there, and you
absolutely.
you walk into the museum, and you go to the first exhibit, and if you look on the right side, you have a note to the patrons,
Yes.
to explain how to enjoy art. And I want you to talk to the listeners about that. But the thing about ACMA is it's so accessible to people of all ages, from babies all the way up to people as old as Tom. So talk about that, the way you look at art, your note to the patrons.
Thank you. So I realized I didn't answer your question. So we have a big night out at the museum tonight, and people can come. They can have cocktails. We have a DJ. Again, it's a place to see and be seen, and just have fun. And you can look at the art, but you can also look at the other people. And again, you might come with people you might meet someone you've never met before.
What a great date night.
So I'm telling you, it is literally the best date location in Orange County. And that's what we're seeing. People are coming there for a date because you show that you have some culture, you have some, interests, and it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. So, okay. And tomorrow, celebrating our half birthday, we're having a scavenger hunt. We're having some cookies for members, and we have a special Instagram pop-up only available there. So during the pandemic, I noticed, not just me noticed, but people are isolated, you're totally separate, and some people started to look at art. People were trying to figure out how to fill the time, right? People did crafting, they're making candles and whatever, all sorts of stuff, tie-dye. So people started going onto museum websites, and people didn't really know how to look at art. So I drafted 5 rules, or not even rules, but 5 suggestions on how to look at art. So answering a question that people didn't even know how to ask. And we now posted them at the entrance to the museum. And it starts off by saying, just, take a deep breath, inhale and exhale, ground yourself in the moment, feel yourself standing there, and then ask questions like, what do you see? How does it make you feel? How would you describe it? And then the last question is, do you care? And people love that question the most, and it kind of makes them laugh, but it's a really important question because, in a traditional or, 20th century museum, the museum was telling everyone what to think, this is important, this is how you should see it, this is what you should think about it. And then museums started to abdicate responsibility, and, they wanted to be very open, and they're like, what do you think? What should we show here? And that, that doesn't work either, because people come to the museum because they want to learn something. They want to be, better, smarter, different, right? And so what we're really doing is it's about conversation. It's about being in conversation. And so you get to choose whether you care about something or you don't get to care about something. And the essence of that question is, not only does art matter, but you matter. And so we value you. No one has to come to a museum. It's not a courthouse. It's not a hospital, right? People come by choice. And
Right.
So they're giving us time that they could spend otherwise. And so we really want it to be valuable.
Sure. Yeah, you don't have subpoena power.
Well, I think the thing I think that's incredible about ACMA is the design. It was Tom Main
Yes.
that did the architectural design on it, and there's so many elements that are involved in it that are just there. You don't necessarily walk up and go oh, there's a place that there's an amphitheater. It's a staircase, but the way it's designed and everything like that, if you had 100 people that you needed to address hundreds of people, you can sit them right there. And it kind of goes through this whole thing. I remember early on I guess I came to a talk that Tom Main did. But talk about some of the stuff that, not necessarily the art, but just the structure itself that make it so special.
Yeah. I think one of the key things is that the museum is on the same plane as the visitor. And so to come to the museum, you don't have to get on a tram, you don't have to go up some intimidating stairs, where you're trying to keep your balance or whatever. But the entrance to the museum is in the same place where you ride your bike and you walk your dog and, your kids are playing. And so the building really just shows that, art is available. And it's the design is very permeable. You can look from outside to inside to outside. And I really like it because contemporary art can be weird or scary for people. And so the idea is you can be outside of the museum, particularly on the Avenue of the Arts, and you can see those great murals,
Right.
by Sarah Kane and the wallpaper by Daniel Arsham. And you're like, that's cool. I want to go in there. It's inviting. And so people can kind of orient themselves before they go in. So some of those, and the building is also super light filled. I've been interviewing people to work at the museum, and they all talk about like how serene it is, and how they really want to work there because it's like so calming. And the other thing that someone said yesterday, which I thought was so interesting, is that she said she wanted to work at the museum because we don't tell anyone what to think. And so much of all the dialogue that's happening in the world right now, it's like, I think this and you should think that too, and there's no wiggle room,
Sure.
and the museum is about that kind of like openness, and it's not telling anyone what to think.
It's also, it's inviting. There's a perfect word for it, from the street and from the plaza. But also, once you get in, it's an exploration. So it just kind of unpacks itself, the architecture and the art within it, and the amenities too. Because not only do they have a bar, they have really a great restaurant.
Yes, the food is amazing. And the whole idea is it's almost like an art sanctuary is what we're calling it. So if you've noticed, like our visitor engagement guides, they all wear oatmeal. Though on Saturday, tomorrow, our half birthday, it's a very special day. It's a green shirt day.
Oh.
It's the first green shirt day that we've had in 6 months. And so green shirts are for special occasions. So, but in general, every day, including today, the staff that works front of house wears oatmeal colors, and our security, they wear sky blue, much like the color of your top, Tom.
My great looking
So,
top.
Yeah.
yes.
No.
So, but instead of black or something that that communicates maybe something that's more rigid or the idea is to make everyone really feel comfortable, and so we've thought about every detail.
So you're the CEO and the director of ACMA. When I think back about, so I came up through the newspaper business, and it was kind of always interesting to me because I worked at the Daily Pilot for years, right? Mm-hmm. And as publisher of the Daily Pilot, I had to understand printing, I had to understand circulation, I had to understand ad sales, editorial, all these different things. And I'd go up and I can remember the first time I was heading up to the Times, I thought, boy, I'm going to meet the greatest minds in the business. I went up there, they all knew about one thing. This guy works in advertising, so he knows about advertising. He has no clue about the presses, no clue about circulation, nothing. In the world of museums, I think it's probably changed over the years where you used to just have to be this knowledgeable art connoisseur to know
Yep.
what to bring in and everything. Now you're talking about, well, I've got a restaurant up here, I've got a gift shop down here, I've got a bar up here, I've got community events.
Yes, it's super interesting. And actually, I'm a longtime YPOer, and it was only through my forum that they kind of let me know that I run a business with a bunch of these different verticals. And they said, you're not just an art person. You run education, you run F&B, food and beverage. You run, of course, marketing, and you have retail, and you have art and finance. So it's a very complex job, and of course a big part of it is also customer relations, right? And wide spectrum of that kind of client services. So ultra high net worth individuals, tourists, local residents, and it's a really diverse demographic. And it's one of the things I really enjoy about my job is that I never know exactly which one of my skills I'm going to have to utilize, or maybe multiple ones, simultaneously. But it's a diverse and complicated job.
So has the pressure of your job changed into where you used to be over in next to Fashion Island, had a location, kind of hard to find, but then you moved over in your place of wait until you moved into this place. But now you're part of Segerstrom Center for the Arts. It's world class. So there's an expectation. Do you feel that kind of like day in and day out that I've got to perform at this high level that we have to be there?
You know, I didn't work at the museum in the previous location and in Fashion Island, and I was in the temporary location. But while I was in the temporary location, it was closed, and so I felt like I was taking the job of CEO and director of a world-class museum.
Okay.
And so it wasn't necessarily a world-class museum yet because it wasn't formed, you know. But one of the very first things that I did when I got here was to say, we're only focused on this new building and what it is we're going to do. We're going to staff for it. We're going to build our board for it. We're going to do exhibitions for it. We're going to fundraise for it. So I was really only interested, I think, in, you know, being part of the building of a world-class museum. And I think that was maybe one of the things that I was able to communicate to the Segerstrom Center for the Arts is that, you know, we now have a CEO and director focused on a world-class institution, which is appropriate and complementary to everything that was at the Segerstrom Center for the Arts before. So, I mean, absolutely 1,000%, and that's the only way I conceived of it.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what's it like to be in the City of the Arts, the great city of Costa Mesa.
I love being in the City of the Arts. I love being in Costa Mesa, and I have had the great honor and privilege of being appointed to the first Arts Commission for the
Yes.
City of Costa Mesa, and we had a meeting last night, and I said that, in fact, I was coming on this show today, and that I was going to do a plug for something that's important to me in that role, which is a Percent for Art program.
Right.
So I'm really interested in helping to socialize the idea that with new development in the City of Costa Mesa, there should be an allocation for the arts, visual and performing arts. And, I haven't lived here long enough to know if that's going to just be embraced or if there's going to be some dialogue around it, but I really think that we are uniquely positioned in Costa Mesa to do something super important. And, with the Segerstrom Center for the Arts and the Orange County Museum of Art, we are on a global stage, and Costa Mesa also now is a place for foodies.
Right, absolutely. I don't know whether the commission is talking about this, but my next stop, the next place I'm going, is to a cannabis dispensary, and they're unveiling it today. It's called Seven Seas, a 6,000 gallon aquarium. And the reason I bring this up is because the money we're getting off the cannabis dispensary, a portion of it is allocated toward public art.
Correct.
And arts in general.
Yep.
So what we're really trying to do is raise our game. Oddly enough, Costa Mesa, being the City of the Arts, has not put a proportionate amount of their own money toward the arts.
Right.
So we're trying to change that, and we've got this commission, and thank you for serving on it.
My pleasure.
Well, also, I think if you rewind a little in Costa Mesa, I was talking earlier about Henry Segerstrom, and, it would be his 100th birthday. Henry was a visionary.
Yes.
And back when it was lima bean fields and you had South Coast Plaza over here that, once he came in early on, there was May Company, and then he put South Coast Plaza in, and then he started working on the Orange County Performing Arts Center and some other things. But when you think about art, he started Noguchi Garden before there was ever anything around it. And if you look at the list of art that Henry's life touched, it's pretty remarkable. He was a real visionary in to look at things and saying, yeah, okay, we need that because we're going to build around it. It's not necessarily the attraction right now.
Yeah. And, it's a really great way to maybe capstone this conversation because, you wonder if what you're doing matters, but there's a huge butterfly effect, right? So what started as an idea, maybe even an idea that people thought was crazy at the time, we now have 150,000 visitors in 6 months to the Orange County Museum of Art. And last week alone, our visitors came from 33 states and 6 countries. So, that's how you can define what a world-class destination is. It's something that is a magnet that people will travel here to experience.
Yeah. And it benefits the community, it benefits the businesses, it benefits everything in Costa Mesa and the whole region.
Absolutely.
So there's a couple of things coming up. Maybe we can just touch on them before we, in the conversation, is you've got more things coming up through the month of April.
Yes, we do. So I like to direct people to our Instagram page, and we have on there a post yesterday which outlines everything that's going on in April. We have artist talks, we have Big Night Out, we have Bring Your Own Baby, BYOB. We have just something happening every week at the museum and every day. And anyone who's listening, come tomorrow for our Happy Half Birthday. It'll be really fun.
It's great stuff.
We did it.
Nice job.
Thank you, Heidi.
And I appreciate you talking about the, what people need to look at when you go to a museum, because I think it's intimidating. When you go to a museum, you look around, especially somebody my age, you think like, ooh, you're supposed to know, like, do I stand a certain amount, a feet away and stuff like that. So it's a nice deal. Continued good luck.
Thank you so
Paul,
much.
what do you think?
I think I got to go there. I haven't been there. I don't know why. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because it's just what you're saying. I don't know anything about art, and it seems intimidating. It's like going to a wine tasting if you don't know anything about. And everybody's presenting. You got to do this. You got to do this. This is how you.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to approach and just say, I like it or I don't like it.
Yeah, and so just to kind of pick up on there for a second, I sat next to a guy at dinner one year, and he said, I just don't get it. So I did a whole program called I Don't Get It. And, that's kind of my personal mission, is to connect people to art and to artists to make their lives better. And, we can only do that by making people feel comfortable. So, the secret behind all this is there is no it to get. There is no one answer. And I love looking at art with other people, because every time I do it, I learn something different, because everyone's different. Everyone's unique. And we're all different and unique every day as well.
It's funny with John. I don't know if you, I'm older than you, and but
That's not what John says.
I think about my childhood, and you really kind of, depending on your parents, you were kind of like, okay, you have to act this way. If you go into church, you have to sit like this. You have to put your hands here. You have to do this. If you have to, act certain ways depending on the venue you're at or whatever. Today, that's one thing I think I admire more than anything else about the young people today. They just do what they want to do. And sometimes it's almost insulting to somebody of my age. You'll see them there or whatever, and they're running around and they're doing crazy stuff, but they're enjoying it, and they're taking it in, and they're not getting all hung up in the things like, Paul, you were talking about going to a wine tasting. Am I holding the glass right? Am I do I hold it the stem? Do I hold it up, up at the top of the glass? Where do I hold it? And do I set it down? And how do I rinse my mouth out after a taste? And all of this stuff. And you get so caught up in that stuff, you don't enjoy the wine.
Right.
And it's the same for the art. Is you're there to enjoy the art if you go to ACMA, not all the other things that, you take away your mind.
Yeah, I agree. All the kids need to enjoy the wine, but you know what? They better behave in church. That's all I can say. All right, we done, Paul?
I think we're done.
Thank you, Heidi. It's great.
My
Wonderful.
pleasure.
I can't wait to get back there.
Yes, let's go.
Well, there you have it. We know where we're going next. We're going to the Orange County Museum of Art. And join us next time as we tee it up with one of the other players here in Orange County, the people who are driving the issues of the day, keeping our county on course. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine, via Applied Innovation Center.